Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's September 9th, 2022. We are in the New Testament, and we are going to read from the book of Luke. We're going to read chapter 7, verse 1 to 35 today. Yep, 1 to 35. All right, so Luke, we said he was associated with Paul. He was associated with Peter. He was a physician. We said think of him like a detective or a reporter that he's gathering facts. And we saw at the beginning of his gospel, he was giving us all kinds of facts that we could maybe go verify if we lived in the first century. Now he's giving us facts that have probably come from multiple sources. So it's not just maybe one disciple saw this. These are all the disciples when he asks them, hey, did you see that? Oh yeah, this is what happened. This is what happened. So we're getting a good picture that everyone could support. Whereas you read maybe Matthew, that's more of a personal, what Matthew saw, and Mark was giving you what Paul saw, and he was a little closer to Jesus, so you were getting some variances there. This is that whole big picture. You go back and talk to these people, they're going to remember the people that were healed. They're going to remember, oh yeah, I remember that guy was deaf and while we sat over there, and then one day Jesus came up to him and everything changed for him. In this section, we're going to get a really great story about a centurion. Now, what's great about this story? He's a centurion. He's a Roman. He's a Gentile. He is not a Jew, and he doesn't even need Jesus to come over and lay his hands on this sick relative. It's his. He understands that, hey, if Jesus says it's done, it's done. And Jesus calls him and says, hey, that is the greatest faith I've seen since I've started walking amongst you people. So he calls out a Gentile as having great faith. So when you talk about faith, that's that hey, if Jesus says it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's in here, it's happening. If Jesus promised it, it's done. If God promised it, it's done. He moves from that. He raises the dead son of a widow. Just powerful miracles that are occurring here. And the people are starting to recognize, hey, this is something special. But some people, like the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they recognize it's something special, and they recognize, oh, we're in trouble, so they want to start pushing him away. And that he's a threat to us. So yeah, they recognize him, but they don't see the good. They don't see that, hey, you know what? Wow, this is what I've been waiting for. They say, ooh, you know what? He's going to push me out of the way, so I got to cut him off at the earliest convenience. So we start to see that come into play a lot more. So let's go ahead and we're going to read Luke chapter 7, verse 1 to 35. Now when he concluded all his sayings in the hearing of the people, he entered Capernaum. And a certain centurion's servant, who was dear to him, was sick and ready to die. So when he heard about Jesus, he sent elders of the Jews to him, pleading with him to come and heal his servant. And when they came to Jesus, they begged him earnestly, saying that the one for whom he should do this was deserving, for he loves our nation and has built a synagogue. Then Jesus went with him, and when he was already not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying to him, Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof. Therefore I did not even think myself worthy to come to you, but say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man placed under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him and turned around and said to the crowd that followed him, I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel. And those who were sent, returning to the home, found the servant well who had been sick. Now it happened, the day after that, he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and a large crowd. And when he came near the gate of the city, behold, a dead man was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. And a large crowd from the city was with her. When the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her and said to her, do not weep. Then he came and touched the open coffin, and those who carried him stood still. And he said, young man, I say to you, arise. So he who was dead sat up and began to speak. And he presented him to his mother. Then fear came upon all, and they glorified God, saying, a great prophet has risen up among us, and God has visited his people. Then this report about him went throughout all Judea and all the surrounding region. Then the disciples of John reported him concerning all these things. And John, calling two of his disciples to him, sent them to Jesus, saying, are you the coming one, or do we look for another? When the men had come to him, they said, John the Baptist has sent us to you, saying, are you the coming one, or do we look for another? In that very hour he cured many infirmities, afflictions, and evil spirits, and to many blind he gave sight. Jesus answered and said to them, Go and tell John the things you have seen and heard, that the blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he who is not offended because of me. When the messengers of John had departed, he began to speak to the multitudes concerning John. What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? What did you go out to see? A man clothed in soft garments? Indeed, those who are gorgeously apparelled and live in luxury are in king's courts. But what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I say to you, and more than a prophet. This is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you. For I say to you, among those born of women there is not a greater prophet than John the Baptist, but he who is least in the kingdom of God is greater than he. When all the people heard him, even the tax collectors justified God, having been baptized with the baptism of John. But the Pharisees and lawyers rejected the will of God for themselves, not having been baptized by him. And the Lord said, To what then shall I like the men of this generation? And what are they like? They are like children sitting in the marketplace and calling to one another, saying, We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We mourned to you, and you did not weep. For John the Baptist came neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and you say, He has a demon. The Son of Man has come eating and drinking, and you say, Look, a glutton and a winebibber, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. But wisdom is justified by all her children. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.